What's going on, guys? Got a special video. Gonna do a how to catch the most tastiest fish out here in the surf. That's right, you already know what it is, the Florida Pompano. Now, in order to catch your quarry, you gotta understand your quarry. So the Florida Pompano belongs to the family Carangidae, the jack family. Well, they fight hard for their size. So, what do they eat? Well, they primarily eat shellfish and mollusk. So, that's what you're gonna have to use for bait. Shrimp, crabs, coquina clams, not sea lice, sandfleas, shellfish. Oh, we're getting a bite right now. Yeah, it's slacked up. Can't even make a video, man. Dang. Notice how we got these other two rods that out of the water, because we tried to make some takes, but well, we kept catching fish. Can you believe that they're that rude? They don't want to teach you how to catch these guys, and they're freaking tasty. And not much you got to do with them. You want to cook them? Just gut them and throw them on the pit. Skin's delicious. Hope this is a big one. Running in. Whew. Well, the scientific name is Trachinotus Carolinus. And as I said, they primarily feed on shellfish. So that's what you're gonna have to use for bait, but also, that's what you wanna look for when you're targeting these guys. You wanna look for sandfleas, clams, coquina clams running on the beach, because that's obviously where they're gonna be. And of course, pompano inhabit the surf zone on the beach. That's a good one right there, boys.
Look at that pompano, guys. This ain't no Hollywood magic, man. Filmed in real time. Look at that. Beautiful. Hey, I'm gonna even tell you all the time right now. Right now it's 10:53.
That's a good one. Now, as you can tell, since I got one here, man, that's a nice one. Also, remember, know your quarry. As I said, they got small mouths. Look at that. It's a big one, but they got relatively small mouths. So, the bait size you're gonna use, small baits. The hook size you're gonna use smaller hooks. And so, this one's all tangled up. I'll use this one instead. All right, so we got here traditional double drop rig. Right now we're using 3/0 circle hooks. Ideally, most of the time, you're gonna probably want to use a smaller hook, 1/0, 2/0. But we're using 3/0 and 4/0 because they ain't just pumping out in the surf, guys. We've caught sharks. One of the previous videos, about a 30-40 pound stingray. And those lighter hooks are good for hooking these the smaller pompano. But when they're this big, I mean, you know, that mouth's decent enough to get that 4/0 circle in, no problem. And those smaller hooks, they bend out real easy. That's the downside. But if that's all that's on the beach, go for it. Just make sure you're not using too big a drag on them. Let's get this one gutted real quick. Now, you don't have to do this, guys, but we usually bleed them, just, you know, get their gills, give them a cut, let them bleed out. And if you're not going to clean them right away, what I would do at least is before you leave the beach, gut them. Because they eat a lot of shellfish, and if you don't gut them, they'll their digestive juices come out all black and stuff. You don't want that on tasting your meat. But if you're gonna clean them right away, ain't a big deal. But you're gonna clean them the next day. Just gut them, super easy. All right, guys. Sorry for that interruption. I'm trying to teach you. All right, let me show you how this rig again. All right, simple double drop rig. Use some small circle hooks. Whatever you want to use for bait down here. The best bait to use, Fishbites, about an inch piece, not too big. Tip it with some shrimp. You're good to go. Now, if you want to, you can go catch sandfleas. Those are also an amazing bait. You can catch them in the surf zone. And that one's kicking in the bucket. Sorry about that. And remember, also you got to know your quarry. Pompano or bottom feeders. What are they feeding? Shellfish, clams, etc. Everything's on the bottom. So of course, you're gonna want a bottom rig. Even if you don't do a double drop, if you do a Carolina rig, make sure you got a short leader on that Carolina rig. Or a three-way, make sure you got a short leader because you still want your bait on the bottom. Now, the conditions you're gonna look for prime pompano fishing, you're gonna want light winds, green water. Look at this surf right here, green water right here. Light winds, it's about, right now, maybe 6-8 miles an hour northwest. Pompano are present in the Texas surf year-round. However, the best time to get after them, especially if you want to catch big ones in big numbers, the winter, guys. So when that water temp hits about 68 degrees to 60, that's prime temperature. You got green water, low winds. You get your butt off the couch and go catch some of these fish. Now, sometimes they're right there in the first gut. Other times they're in the second gut. But a lot of times, like right now, tide's going out, fish tend to get pushed further out. We're really casting on that third bar and getting bites. So for gear, again, pompano aren't the biggest. A big pompano is either 3 or 4 pounds. Most of the time you're catching them 1 to 4 pounds. State record's like a little over 6 pounds. So you don't need super heavy gear. But you do need, at times, gear that you can cast very far. So this particular leader is 40 pounds. Not because it needs to be 40 pounds to catch a pompano, but because we're throwing heavy weights, we're power casting to get that distance to really get on these fish. Reels. Any good reel that you can cast a mile with, doesn't have to be a big reel as long as it's got enough line. 200 yards of 20-pound mono at least. This right here is a Sea Line 30 SHA. 100 yards of 40 top shot with about 200, 250 of 30, 40 pound braid on the bottom. This one right here, 50 pound Sea Line SHA. Straight 40, about 310 yards of 40. 10-foot rod. This one's a 4 to 8 ounce. This one's a 1 to 4 ounce. You can even use spinning reels, really doesn't matter as long as you got the capacity. 10.5-foot Omega rod. I think this is what, 1 to 4 ounce or 2 to 4 ounce, something like that?
Yeah, 2 to 4.
So you don't need big gear, but if you do need gear that's gonna cast far. So that's where some of the heavier stuff comes into play. Especially if you're gonna power cast, you're gonna cast heavy weights, you're trying to get to that third gut at times. But on some days, man, you just come out here with your little typical 7-foot ambassador and, you know, catch them in the first gut and tear them up. Other days, it's not like that. So, conditions you're gonna want a moving tide, whether it's falling, whether it's rising. You're gonna want some tidal movement. Almost with any fishing in the surf, that bite's gonna turn on. Those fish are gonna start feeding.
All right, guys, had to cast out all 3 rods. Good cast. So instead of bringing one at a time, I carried 2 rods. Ruben already casted this one out. He casted that one out just now. And then I got mine, which is the 3rd one. I'm gonna come out over here and sling it. Right there. Perfect. Just like that, boys. That's how you cast out 3 rods on the second bar with 2 people. Guys, you gotta work smarter, not harder. Could've did 4 rods like that.
You can go straight braid if you want to, and that can definitely help you get some distance. Just remember to have a shock leader section that just long enough to get a few wraps around the spool and tie your leader. Obviously this is a long shock leader. This is like 100 yards of 40, but definitely have a shock leader if you're gonna go straight braid. And another note, going back to the hooks, offset circle hooks, make sure your hooks are sharp. I love the offsets because you can just, especially if you're gonna have a few setups, leave them in the rod holder, the fish most of the time hook themselves. So offset circle hooks, make sure they're sharp. Anywhere from 1/0 to 4/0, you're good to go, guys. And that's really, it's not too hard, man. Just, you know, find a good section of beach, give it a try out. I mean, this morning we got 2 rods out and then we already caught a fish within 5 minutes. So when they're there and eating, I mean, it don't take long, guys. If you're not getting bites after 30 minutes, an hour, and the tide's moving, you might want to move spots. But if you're on a slack tide and you're gonna wait for that tide change, then okay, go ahead and sit. But you got good water, a good tide movement, and you're not catching anything, you're catching a bunch of hardheads, go move down the beach to another spot. That's it, it's not hard. I hope y'all have great success. If y'all like the video, like it. If you got a comment, an additional question, maybe I didn't go over anything, go ahead and drop down in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you get notified when more videos come out. Y'all have a great day and good luck to y'all. We had a great day, if you can't tell by this ice chest. Ended off the day keeping 18 pompano, threw a couple back, started being more selective. But man, that was an awesome day.